Okay, so let's wrap this week up with a little algebra. It says our brief introduction yesterday showed us how to use a slope-intercept formula, y equals mx plus b, to simply substitute the value for m and b. These values were found using our understanding of what they meant. We learned that m means slope and that b means y-intercept. M also means rate of change, also means common difference, but those two words should be in our memory at least a little bit right now in terms of what we understand. Here's a quick example of the most basic form of what we discussed yesterday. It talks about writing the equation of a line with the slope of 4 and a y-intercept of 7. An equation means that they want a y equals version of a line with this information. Of course, if you see the phrase slope of 4, that means that m, because remember m means slope, m is equal to 4. If you see that the y-intercept is negative 7, it means that b, because remember b is your y-intercept, b is equal to negative 7. So taking those two things, and knowing that m is 4, knowing that b is negative 7, and the fact that we have this formula memorized, I hope by now, y equals mx plus b, all you do is turn your m into a 4, turn your b into a negative 7, and that would be your final answer. So really the game is, once you have m, once you have b, plug them into your y equals mx plus b and get your numbers the way they're supposed to be. So this won't be tough. Your Math Excel is going to start out with a decent amount of questions on this to make sure you have it before moving on to the second level of question that you're going to see. But again, if you know m, put it here. If you know b, put it here. That is your final answer. But in many of today's questions on the worksheet, once you get past Math XL, you'll be given m, but you'll have to actually find b. It's not a difficult process as long as you practice early to understand it. What I mean by that is, those of you who allow a couple days to go by before you complain about how you don't get it, you're going to have a hard time with this, because Monday we're actually going to a tougher version of this, and if you don't have today at least somewhat understood, then Monday is going to be kind of tough for you. So looking at that, let's look at what we're talking about here. This is an example that's already in your notes that you can just follow along with, and again, make sure you follow and pay attention to what I'm saying here. This says write the equation of a line. Again, they want a y equals version of a line with a slope of 2 that passes through 3, 7. Again, the phrase slope of 2 means that m, which represents slope, is equal to 2. If they tell you that it passes through 3, 7, remember that x is the first number, y is the second number, so they are pretty much telling you that x is equal to 3 and y is equal to 7. Now, what you notice about y equals mx plus b is that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 variables, which means that if we can identify 3 of them, then we can actually solve for the fourth one. So here's what happens. You now take y equals mx plus b, and in order to find b, because that's what we don't have, we have m, we have a y and an x, but we do not have b. What we do is we plug everything we know from up here into y equals mx plus b. So notice again, y was 7, so we put the 7 there. M was 2, so we put the 2 there. X was 3, so we put the 3 there. And then b we don't know, so we just put plus b. Then we do the work we did a couple weeks, or actually last week or so, where you take 2 times 3, turn it into 6. Then you solve by using or subtracting 6 from both sides, and you end up with 1 equal to b. Once you have b and you have m, again, that's the whole game, just like it was in the first question. You plug m in, you plug b in, and you end up with y equals 2x, because that's m, plus 1, because that's b, and this represents your final answer here. Again, the object of this game that we're playing today is to find m and find b. There will be times when they give you m and b, but then there's going to be times where you have to find one, at least one today. Monday you'll have to find both, but you'll have to find b every single time here. So let's look at a couple examples before you move on to your Math XL. There's not a lot of these to do on Math XL. I think you might see 2 maybe, but just make sure you understand it when you do it. But this says write the equation of a line with the slope of 4 passes through 1, 9. Once you see that they want the equation of a line, I would just write the equation y equals mx plus b, because that is the key to find the equation of a line. Then what I would do, especially if I have issues remembering this, I would put x over the first number, y over the second number. And we know it's the slope of 4, so I would put a m above the 4, because that's what m is. Now notice that we simply substitute. Again, we have to find b, so we just substitute. Y, based off my information, is 9, equals m, based off my information, is 4, x is 1, and again, I do not know b. Now I use algebra. 4 times 1 turns into 4 plus b. Solving for b, I have to move the 4, which is positive, so I subtract 4 from both sides, getting 5 for b. Again, notice I have a b here, I have an m here, so I go back to y equals mx plus b, and I substitute only for m and b. So it's y equals m becomes 4, and b becomes 5. The nice thing about this is you can actually check it. Take the 1 for x and plug it in. 4 times 1 plus 5. And notice that the answer I get is the value for y. So if I did it right, plugging that number in, 4 times 1 is 4 plus 5 makes 9, it tells me that I did it right and I don't need to worry about anything. Okay? Second example, write the equation of a line with a slope of -3 that passes through 211. So looking at this again, once they want the equation of a line, just put y equals mx plus b, because that is the key to finding the equation of a line. Again, you might need to label some things. That's an x, that is a y, and slope of -3 means that is my m. Plug in what you know. Y, based off of what I have, is 11. M, based off of what I have, is -3. X, based off of this, is 2. And then again, I do not have b, so I put plus b. Now I use algebra. -3 times 2 turns into -6 plus b. And then from there, if I want b, I have to get rid of -6. The way you get rid of -6 is by adding 6 to both sides, getting 17 for b. Once I find b and I have m, I go back to my slope-intercept form and I plug in m and b. So it's y equals m is -3x plus b, which is 17. That is my answer. And again, here's the nice thing. I can take this, move it to where you can see it, but I can take this and plug 2 in for x, and I should get 11 as an answer. So let's see, -3 parentheses 2 plus 17 equals, notice your answer, notice what y is. That tells me I did it right. So take the Math XL time to make sure you know how to do the mx plus b game in general. I will give you a slope and a y-intercept. As I said, there are a couple of problems where you'll have to do this. If you're having issues with that, when you get to them, just bring it over. I'll talk you through it. But just make sure you're working for your 100%, because that way you keep your grade where it's supposed to be. And outside of that, like I said, good luck. We're getting ready for a quiz tomorrow. On that quiz tomorrow, you simply have the slope, y-intercept, graphing, and all that good stuff. So I think it should be a good quiz for us again. Just make sure you stay focused and make sure you stay on task, at least to where you get it. I understand we're not perfect, but as long as you're getting the information, we're taking care of business the way we should. So good luck, and again, speak up if there's any issues.